One being born in an environment of wickedness and paganism as Abraham was, who passes over from unrighteousness to a God and truth-centered righteous thought as Abraham did, possessing the ability to transform an entire nation of people, is indeed a Messiah. Thus, humanity would collectively be at a loss if Abraham wasn't counted as a Messiah. Likewise, Moses was and is known to the world as the deliverer of the Israelites for their bondage, or from their bondage rather, in Egypt. Beyond the physical captivity of the Israelites, they were spiritually chained to the various religions and worship and practices of the Egyptians. Therefore God commanded Moses to stand before Pharaoh and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. As it reads in Exodus 8:20 of the Holy Bible, according to the King James Version. Don't trip on me, with this King James thing and all of that. We're going to deal with that, or we're going to make the information available that deals with King James and, the clarity that we have in regards to who this man is. But as a point of reference, we deal with these particular scriptures as translated by these particular individuals. I just believe in order to beat somebody at their own game, we got to know what their game is. Moses' mission conforms to every definition of what a Messiah is and does. Thus, he too is counted amongst the Messianic personages in all of history. When it comes to Yeshua, the only contention one would probably encounter, not probably, but more than likely, encounter would be simply semantical or, based on pronunciation, because the whole world has been trained and conditioned to accept the title or the name Jesus Christ as his name. So when I say Messiah, you say Jesus. Messiah, anyway. But that's a subject that will require scores and scores of pages and even a DVD all to its own. I humbly suggest you check out the DVD by Ben Ami called Yeshua, the Hebrew Messiah, or Jesus, the Christian Christ. The brother deals with that piece quite effectively. The outstanding phenomena, however, lies in the fact that few to none of those who recognize him as the Messiah or the Messiah had ever been given a working definition of the title that they ascribe to him. In other words, here we are in 2007 calling somebody the Messiah and being extremely offended when somebody else uses that term, rather to themselves or for themselves, or referring to someone else outside of Jesus. Here we are being offended at that, and we have no working definition of what it actually means. If you go up to anybody right now and tell them that you're the Messiah, watch their response, but then ask them, well, what is a Messiah? They will never tell you what a Messiah is. They will tell you who the Messiah is. So we're dealing with the what's right now, because we already know that we've been trained and conditioned to accept the who, but now let's deal with the what, because once we effectively deal with this what situation, the who, it becomes more and more laxed. We kind of widen the scope, and that's what we want to do now, because that's just common sense. It's just what we want to do. It's just where we want to go, and what page we want to be on if we are to galvanize the forces of our people and create allies and all come to one page, basically. Yeshua was born during the time of the Greco-Roman occupancy in the Holy Land. The Greeks and the Romans had polluted the Holy Land with paganism and Hellenization, which necessitated a person or a people being called forth to deliver the possessed masses from their spiritual captivity. Based on the task that Yeshua had to perform and the manner in which he had to perform it, it is evident that had he been a product of the 1960s, he too would have been on J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO list. So, to prevent the rise of a black Messiah, along with Carmichael, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Jesus Christ's name would have been right there. Yeshua ben Yosef, Jesus Christ, however Hoover would have referred to him. Now, as we step into the dispensation of time that housed the chattel slavery, we see the rise of men such as Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, and Nat Turner, and women such as Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth. By August of 1800, a 24-year-old man by the name of Gabriel Prosser had assembled thousands of slaves in an effort to conquer the entire state of Virginia. Now, flashback, unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. That's what Prosser had done. Because if his plot had been successful, Prosser would have been named the King of Virginia. According to Lerone Bennett Jr. in his book, Before the Mayflower, A History of the Negro in America, 1619 through 1964, the revised edition, Prosser was a deeply religious man who saw a direct connection between his people and the people spoken of in the Bible. He paid particular attention to the biblical passages that referred to the blood and doom, for no degree of true freedom had ever been won or achieved without the shedding of blood or the loss of life. Holding true to the overall Messianic definition and concept, Gabriel was the personification of a Messiah. He sought to become a king, as the definition mandates. He succeeded in unifying and electrifying the militant black nationalists, and he affected the destiny of a chosen people. See, so when I refer to Gabriel Prosser as a Messiah, don't twitch in your chairs. Just open your dictionaries, because I'm not speaking in reference to the thought that you may already have in your mind. I'm not speaking on the same level of that Greco-Roman thought. I've escaped the confines of Greco-Roman thought to this degree. I know that there's thousands of stones we have to turn over to ultimately say that we've truly escaped from the Greco-Roman thought. But in terms of this right here, when I speak on Messiah, I'm not speaking on the same wavelength as the masses of our people who have bought into or accepted the Greco-Roman thought that, Messiah was only one individual. So I'm speaking based on a scholastic understanding and, a more Afrocentric understanding of what that term was. Just as the consumption of an apple does not equate to the death of that apple, but merely the transferring of its life force from one vessel unto another, so it is with the Messianic life and spirit. I remember when Earth, Wind, and Fire had that song and say, they never dissipate, they only recreate in another place. Y'all gotta forgive the singing. I know I can't sing, but I'm not here to be a singer. I'm here to wake you up right now to the knowledge of who you are, what you are supposed to be doing in this particular realm of our existence, and what page we should be on, and as well as pulling back some of the wool that has been put on your eyes. A salient example of both the transferring of the Messianic spirit and its subsequent recreation in another place and time is seen in the idea that the same year that Prosser's mission was brought to an abrupt and unfortunate ending due to both betrayal on the part of a few scared slaves and an unpredicted thunderstorm that caused him to postpone his planned attacks. See, he had planned to attack on a particular day, thinking that the sky was going to be clear and, the conditions was going to allow that to happen. On a particular day when all of his forces had been galvanized and ready to move, a thunderstorm happened. So he had to postpone it. So postponing it gave the scared slaves a chance to get to the slave masters and let them know what was about to take place. He had to reschedule, and based on him rescheduling, it was brought to an abrupt ending. But now at the same time that was happening, the same time of Prosser's demise, another brother by the name of Denmark Vesey won a lottery and purchased his freedom. Vesey not only had won a lottery, but he was also afforded the opportunity to migrate back to Africa, but he refused on the grounds that he couldn't rest. No way could he go back to Africa and get comfortable again while his people was here in America suffering. Kind of like, if I may deviate for a minute, I recall the lyrics from Lou Rawls' song, "I know there's peace on the mountaintop and that's where I want to go, but I just can't rest on the mountaintop when there's trouble down here below." So I think even Lou Rawls had somewhat captured the spirit of Denmark Vesey, at least in that particular song.